Hi, everybody. Elle Ingalls here, creator of the Pressure Free Method, and welcome to this Pressure Free Performance series where I'm interviewing coaches of different kinds. If you've been on this series, you've seen that already. And tonight we have a mental performance coach who's been in the biz for a while, and I love that because there's so much wisdom here. So, Lisa Widmark, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Elle.
So you do a lot of different things. You even have a radio show, which I think is so fascinating. A lot, we think podcast today, but you actually have a radio show too, which I think is kind of cool.
It is kind of 80s, but
Yeah.
um, I had things about mindfulness that I wanted to share, and my local radio station had a spot, and I pitched it as an idea, even though all the programs on there are music. And I said, "This is what I want to do," and they love it, and they've been super supportive.
I think that's amazing. So it's typically a music station, and then you went ahead and just did that. I just
Hmm.
love it. And it kind of connects to the second speaker we had on this series, Ginny, who's like, she never took no. If she was, just keep going, be persistent, make things happen. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself, Lisa. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into some of your tips and insights.
So I am a sports psychologist, a mental performance coach, and I work with individuals in every sport and then in business and sort of life, and then things that you don't really consider sports like poker. So
Really?
anything where there's interference between your potential and your performance.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interference. That's a great word for it.
Well, I mean, you're a lot of athletes will come to me saying, I can do this, this, and this in practice. And then when I get into a competitive situation, it doesn't happen. And so why doesn't your potential show up when you want it to? And so
Right.
all of those thousands of things that can get in the way is really just interference.
Mm-hmm. And you're at University of Reno now.
I do work with the UNR baseball team and the women's basketball team.
Okay, you got the basketball team too. Last time we talked, you were hoping
Yes.
for that. That's wonderful. And then all private clients, of course.
Mhm.
And I saw golf, right? You've done quite a bit with golf.
Um, so golf and baseball are sports wise the things that I love, but I mean, I've worked with uh, lacrosse and pole vaulting and all of those things, but I always thought that golf was the most mental sport because there's so much downtime.
Right.
You know, you're out there for 4.5 hours and you're actually hitting a ball for maybe 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
you've got four hours to get in your own way. And but then then I started working with 12-year-old gymnasts, and suddenly balance beam sounds like the most mental sport.
Oh my gosh, that was me too. I had a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. The 10-year-old was on her way to the 2020 Olympics. Like
Wow.
she was amazing. And but shoulder injury mess or elbow injury messed it for her. So she became a trampolinist
Ooh,
and made the national team like in 4 months. Like so she was just a rock star and now she's coaching, which is kind of cool. Um,
yeah.
so let's dive into some tips, insights, some things you've seen in your practice, and yeah, any nuggets that you can share with our audience.
Ooh, I have a lot of
I know
nuggets.
you do.
Um, uh, well, I would start with figuring out what you can control and what you can't. And then we could get into ways of uh, letting go, just strategies for letting go of things you can't control. And really that applies to driving in traffic. That applies to playing golf. It applies to pretty much everything that when you realize all you can control is yourself, which, when you start out doesn't seem like much, but how you view things and how you respond to them determines your reality. So really, you're totally in control of reality. So that's a lot of control.
Yeah, it
And
sure is. And I don't think people really spend much time deeply thinking about it, especially in today's society where we're just bombarded by a whole bunch of stuff all the time.
mm,
But to pause for a moment and think about like what can't I control and what can I control? That's a huge takeaway right there. I love it.
hmm and and that some of those things that upset you aren't even worth, does that really affect my life? Is it even a real thing? Because with the internet now, we're bombarded with so much stuff that eh, it's people getting upset over something that might happen.
Right,
So it's not even a real thing.
right.
So
The
does it matter to
sensationalizing
me?
of everything. Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
And not to say there aren't things that are worth caring about, worth maybe being upset over, but the upset is a choice, and it usually doesn't change what's going on. So, um, I don't know. I did the mindfulness-based stress reduction course a long time ago that John Kabat-Zinn started. And, you put a pause in there, you take a breath, you calm down, and you say, okay, what am I going to do about it?
And
So,
you said a really cool thing though. You said being able to assess whether or not you can do something about it. Like that's power.
mhm.
That's really powerful. Again, it takes that pause to be able to do that. Like this thing, there's really, even if I were to be upset, it wouldn't change what's going on.
And kind of in our society, worry is encouraged.
And
You
it's
get unsolicited emails that say, "How worried are you about X?"
right, right.
Not the actual X, but how worried are you about whatever? And it's like, I'm not worried about it and worrying is kind of addictive that I worry about my grandson, or this I worry about climate change. It makes you feel like you're doing something about it, but you're not.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Yeah. I do a lot about worry with my clients too. It's insidious and
hmm
it is a little contagious. Like if someone's worried, then someone else in the family will be worried as well. And it just creates a chain reaction.
Or I'm so worried about Elle because she worries all the time.
Right. It's so good. Love it.
So
Great.
on on the field of play,
Mhm.
it's, you got an egregiously bad call. That's out of your control. That happens. If it's up to you to realize that's out of your control and then have a way to let it go. Because if if you let it affect your next play, okay, now you're not in charge anymore.
Mhm. That's right. That's right.
I love how Tom Hansen explains it, like if if that's what you're responding to, then you're letting the game play you instead of you playing the game.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's really good. I was thinking too, back to what we were just talking a moment ago. I think it was Kobe Bryant who said that if I'm anxious as a leader, if I'm anxious, the whole team is anxious. It just,
And I
right.
mean that's really next level where you realize that um well, I mean I teach it to kids that
Mhm.
how you show up on the court, yeah, it helps you play better, but your coach notices, your teammates notice, your opponents notice.
Mhm.
So if you I've got this, I'm I'm not afraid of failing. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to get rid of as much of that interference as I can so that my potential comes through.
Beautiful.
Just how I show up like that, all my teammates are going, "Oh boy,
Right.
the good Lisa's here today." Where, whereas, whereas if I show up like this and I'm, oh God, I didn't get enough sleep, and I think that burrito is not agreeing with me, and I really
All
don't.
the-
And I've had, three crummy games in a row. All my teammates see that and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. My opponents see that and say, "Oh boy."
Right?
So,
That's right.
so the way Kobe could show up like, I'm going to be big me because it helps my whole team, even if I don't score a point.
Oops. Hold on, hold on. I muted you. Can you unmute yourself? I was trying to mute.
Yes.
Okay. I just want
Um,
go ahead.
so if he's and it's odd that you brought that up because I just saw a clip with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry
Okay.
where Steph Curry was oddly having a poor game and he was on the bench. He's totally bummed. And Steve Kerr said the very same thing to him. He says, I can show you stats that everybody out there performs better when you're out there, whether you score a point or not.
Uh,
They're just happy to have you out there. So just that your more than your performance affects what's going on the court.
oh, for sure. Your total energy, like what you're showing,
Hmm.
what's coming out from you. I was an orchestra conductor and how I would expand my energy to fill the entire hall, like
Oh, beautiful.
all the way through, all the way to the last person in the audience and all the way through to the last person in the orchestra, because my back is behind. That's another thing that athletes don't think about, but you have your energy, if you block off that energy from behind, but when you're 360 open, it's a game changer. That's a game changer.
And what did you do to be 360 open?
So, um, from the shoulders down through the ribs, the first is to just open wide, not pinch the shoulders back. So a lot of times we pinch the shoulders back and that
Hmm.
tightens the scapulas, like all those muscles. You want to open wide. And then when you breathe, imagine that it's all your lungs are 360 degrees opening up, not just wide or just in front, but like the whole thing. And then energetically, well, here, I'll just share it if you want to hear it. It's kind of interesting.
Sure, yeah.
So think about an orchestra conductor. You're waiting backstage. You're the last person out. Orchestra goes out, they're warming up. Then concertmaster comes out, takes a bow, and tunes them. The whole time you're back there waiting, which is so much like a baseball player, golfer, someone on the bench. Like it's hurry up and wait, you know? And so it's really easy to lose your mental game when you're waiting. And what I would do is just totally open up and just imagine my energy just opening, opening, opening. So then, you know how we say get out of your comfort zone? I
Hmm.
actually disagree with that. I think you need to expand your energy and step and stay in your comfort zone. Stay in the zone. That's what we really want. So for a baseball player, it would be every step you take from being on deck to stepping to the plate. So the energy is just, you just imagine your energy just flowing out, flowing out, flowing out. And so I would do that with every step as I took the stage. It's just expanding, expanding, expanding. And then by the time I take my bow, like it's just like electricity. Like, we're that powerful. I don't think
Yeah.
people understand how powerful they are. How can a conductor take 70 people and have them all be in harmony with each other in every way, every bow in the same place, like everything happening. It's all about energy.
Hmm.
So it's cool. You can do the same thing as a player and let that energy serve your teammates. So if I'm looking, the oboe player has to come in for a solo. I don't like give them a hard cue. I look and I smile and I just open my hand.
Hmm.
Just open my hand. They know when they have to come in. They don't
Hmm.
need a hard cue.
Right. They came to rehearsal. They know what they're supposed to do.
They know what they're supposed to do. And it's
Well,
hard to play that little thing.
and bringing it back to sport in a competitive situation, you know what to do already. It's why you train, why you practice. It's all those hours so that you can just let it flow and have fun when it's time to perform
I love
and
that you
let.
said fun because I think I have a client, she goes to a very competitive school out east. And one of the first things we worked on is that like the fun has just been taken out of sports. It's so competitive. It's so interesting to me, Talk to me about that, Lisa.
Oh, well, just that there are 8-year-olds on travel teams and their parents are spending upwards of $10,000 a year so their kid can play soccer. Uh, yeah, that'll suck the fun right out of it. And that it's too, well, for most kids, it's too young to be that competitive.
Yeah.
And it brings in so many other things that can cause problems, like my parents are happy when my team wins instead of, and yeah, they're happy. But for a 10-year-old, that's kind of hard to process that I want to make them happy, and so I have to win.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that takes away from skill development and personal development and all of those other things.
Yeah.
So so
And you do have
it's
occasional,
tricky.
it is tricky. You do have occasional kids who absolutely love it, like the little 10-year-old I'm
Hmm.
coaching.
Hmm.
She didn't it was her choice to be tutored. Like it was her choice to be doing what she was doing. Her parents didn't
Hmm.
pressure her at all. And so it's just it's interesting how much that is spread, you know.
Right. And there's so much variety of maturity levels and I mean physically, mentally, emotionally at that age
Yeah.
that to group all the 10-year-olds together isn't fair. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting for sure. Wow. But yeah, fun. That's definitely a thing. Give me a couple more tips to close out tonight.
Um, okay. So well, let's go to worrying about what other people think.
Okay.
It's been called the new saber-toothed tiger, that's what your brain is trying to protect you from other people judging me. When letting go of letting go of judgment, so judging yourself, judging other people, I think really helps you let go of worrying about what other people think. So um, Dr. Michael Gervais talks about FOPO, which is the fear of other people's opinions.
Uh-huh.
I kind of reword that because 90% of the time, other people don't even have an opinion about you. They're
That's
not even
right.
paying attention to you. They
They're
didn't even
not.
notice you. Okay.
It's true.
So I call it the perceived opinions of other people, what you think other people might be thinking
Oh,
about
it's
you.
so good. Can you say that again? So good.
So I call it the fear of the perceived opinions of other people or poop. It's the fear of poop. And and that reminds you that it's poop. It's there's it probably doesn't even exist, but it is what holds a lot of people back from going for it,
Yes.
from
Sure.
taking that shot or from trying out for the school play or from whatever, from trying to steal second base. And that confidence, most people think that you get confident from doing a good job, but really you get confident from not being afraid to do a bad job.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And I just want to reframe. I love how you talked about if you can work on releasing judgment about yourself and releasing your judgments about other people, that can help you then with the poop thing, right?
Well, I mean, when I did it myself, I realized that if I'm worried about what I think somebody else might be thinking, if I really sat and meditated on it, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Meaning, let's say this outfit looks silly and people are going to think that I'm whatever. Then I would stop and say, do I like this? And hey, you know what? It is silly. I'm going to go change. Or no, I really like this, and whatever anybody else thinks is whatever is out of my control. So I'm just going to let it go.
It's so good. You I love this so much. I never thought about framing it as people's what is it? Say again. What is poop again?
The perceived opinions of
Perceived
other
opinions.
people.
Perceived opinions of other people. Perceived opinions of other people. Oh, that's so good. I'm putting that in my tool belt. It's so insidious and it's so and then when you do receive criticism from someone, and I'm not talking about constructive criticism, but something that really kind of cuts to the bone, maybe because there's some truth to it and you aren't as prepared as you thought you should be, or there's something going around in there, that comes into play as well.
So when have you ever gotten actual negative feedback like that?
I got some when I was creating the music school in our community. I was in a meeting and a woman said, "Well, I don't think you're really doing it right. And besides, I was going to create a school." And then
Oh,
she needed to lay out how she thought I should be doing it. But she had
uh-huh.
never done it, right? It was just fascinating. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember coming home from that meeting and sharing with my husband, just be like, I was dejected. I was like, I was hoping for this great meeting and she would be on board. And instead it was like this critique of everything I wasn't doing yet. And he goes, well, it's a self-critique. She was critiquing herself for not taking the action to do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
create the school herself. So that
Right.
was my final reflection on it all. It's like when you get some of that, like just pause for a moment, like what's going on in that person's life?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they coming at you like that? And I think when you're
I,
leading things, when you're a leader, you can take a lot of pot shots from people.
mm-hmm.
They like to come after you. You just have to look at Travis Kelsey and there's a woman he's dating. I forget her name.
Mm-hmm.
Actually forget her name. I don't even know a single song of hers. So that's terrible.
She has a great song about letting it go called
Okay.
Shake It Off.
Okay.
But that I'm not really her market. So no, I don't know a bunch of her songs, but she's someone doing an awesome job.
She is
A
someone who
sweetheart.
totally understands creating the energy that fills an entire arena.
And
That's what she does.
just like the gal who wasn't making the music school, tons of people who aren't doing that criticize her.
That's right. That's
And
exactly.
it's way more about them than it is about her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about criticism for sure. Okay, let's see. We have time for probably one more tip from you, Lisa.
Okay. Um, well, that everyone I was going to say a release strategy, but really first step in anything is noticing. So noticing when you react. So there's a stimulus and you react to it in whatever way. That's going from your senses to your midbrain and you react. There's no time for your frontal cortex to even get involved. And
Right.
so first just noticing that. And then when there when there's a stimulus, you just put a little pause in there, a breath or a counting to three, a something that gives your frontal cortex a chance to get involved so that you can respond rather than react.
Mhm.
And and that could be to a bad call, it could be to somebody pulling in front of you in traffic, it could be
Mhm.
to the fact that it's raining when you planned a picnic.
Right? Right? Oh, that's a good one. I remember our last big family reunion, it was pouring rain. And some people sat out on the porch, some people sat under a tent, and inside with a little fire going was my youngest son, he was 3 at the time, his cousin who was 3, and the elders. My grandmother who was almost 100 and her
Cool.
sisters who were in their 90s. And it was one of the most beautiful family reunions, even though it was pouring rain.
Hmm. But if you started out with that reaction that you're so mad that everything's messed up now,
Right.
then you would have missed that part. But
Would have missed it totally.
the elders already knew better.
I would have missed it. I would have missed it, and I would have been cranky, and I would have been, who knows, it's so true. So yeah, I love it. Just the pause. That's exactly what I teach you. All right, we have just a couple more minutes. Anything else you want to share? And I do want to share how people could get a hold of you too.
Okay. Um, well, it sort of goes back to what you can control. And so in sports, uh, people think that they're playing for the results, but results are totally out of your control. And so to focus on the things you can control, which is yourself and your process. And the results are really just there to give you feedback, to tell you if your process is working. So
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
results, really good or bad. Bad results give you more feedback than good results.
Mhm.
And the results are there to inform your practice.
Mhm.
So they help you get better. If you never failed, it's really hard to get better
It's true. Absolutely.
because you think that exactly what you're doing is exactly what you need to do. And then there's no way for you to become versatile,
Hmm.
because you're a one-trick pony. Whereas
Yeah.
if you fail a bunch of times, you're like, bring on any situation, I can handle it because I already know what not to do.
Right, right. Well, I can really see that in baseball too, because if you don't swing, you're never going to hit, and you're going to miss a lot of swings. So
Hmm.
you need to take those swings, and but that's kind of life too, I think people can easily get really complacent and not take the swings, and so yeah, that's a great way for us to end. How can people get a hold of you, Lisa, if they're interested in talking with you?
Okay, so let's see. I am on LinkedIn at TMG for the mental game sports psych. So it's TMG sports psych.
Okay.
I have a website, which is also www.tmgsportspsych. Uh, I'm on Instagram as the same thing. Um, and that's my email as well, at gmail.com.
Oh,
And
great.
then,
Okay.
but if you go to the website, then it has all of my other connections, and you can call me, text me, send me a message on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
I like to connect with new people in the field, students who are trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
And
That's beautiful. I mean, you've been in the mental game for a long time, and I think it's just fantastic that,
30 years.
yeah, that's to have you as a resource. It's so, so fabulous. I'm really glad I've met you. And so thank you so much, Lisa. I'm going to close out our Facebook here, and then I'll close out the recording, and we'll open up for questions and answers for those in the Zoom room. So thank you so much,
Okay.
Lisa.
Thanks, Elle. It's been a delight.